coming to you, of course, live from the ANC Policy Conference, where we expect the ANC to take us through their policy conference and their policies, rather, and some of those which they think are a priority. Could it be the energy crisis, migration, GBV? Could it be gender issues? We'll be finding out today. Morning, partner.
Morning. From a freezing Nasrec, I'm Gareth Edwards. There really is, as Tumza says, a lot to unpack. We're not going to waste anyone's time. Why? Because Siphamandla Goge is doing what Siphamandla does, running around finding ANC members to talk to. Sipha, let's come straight back to you. Of all the resolutions, and there's a lot to talk about, I know you'll agree, one of those that stands out surely has to be the step-aside resolution. Good morning, Sipha.
Indeed, that's the point that is likely to dominate this National Policy Conference of the ANC. Ordinarily, it shouldn't be like that because this is the gathering about policies. But of course, there will be other organizational issues such as the step-aside resolution, as well as the issues of organizational renewal and unity. Dr. Gwen Ramakgopa is the member of the National Executive Committee of the ANC. She joins us now. Thank you very much for your time. A very crucial gathering for the ANC. I always tell people that, in my view, this should be the largest gathering of the governing party because policies that you discuss here will obviously affect South Africans because you are governing. At the center and the core of your policy discussions this weekend, what will take the center stage?
Good morning, Siphamandla, and also good morning to the viewers. At the center stage of the 6th National Policy Conference, indeed, it is the state of society, the state of our democracy, the state of our economy, and the renewal path that we have agreed to with other stakeholders, including NEDLEC, and throughout the consultation processes that we have been having on the policy documents that were developed. So this is a festival of ideas, but also looking at very crucial policy areas that will take South Africa forward and deal with difficult issues like the structural barriers of our economy, issues of state capture that we've had to deal with decisively, and we're glad the report is out and we're focusing on the implication thereof to the ANC, to our country, to our democracy, and how we can be responsive to that.
We'll come back to the state capture report. Let's talk about two things that the ANC needs to get right at this gathering. The issue of the economy, that successive ANC economic policies have failed to address the issue of economic growth in South Africa, and the energy crisis. Without those two being sorted out, the country will continue to suffer. You have discussed many policy issues before, resolved on them, but you have been struggling to successfully implement them. Why?
If you look at the issue of the economy, we did have a period of economic growth, which we criticized for not creating enough jobs. And that was the area of focus. And that's why we also introduced policies like the broad-based Black economic empowerment, which we translated into law. We must acknowledge, however, that the issue of state capture disrupted a lot of those processes. And in the past...
State capture that was allowed by the ANC, by the way.
Well, some members of the ANC. And we also took a position that it is not the ANC that was responsible for state capture, but it is some members, and we have stood by the side of society and the country to ensure that the perpetrators are brought to book.
Chief Justice Raymond Zondo asked in his report, where was the ANC when state capture was happening?
I guess it is important, yes, for us to answer that. And part of the resolutions that we expect to come from here is how to tighten accountability, how to develop early warning signs, and how to ensure that we nip corruption and state capture in the bud should these rear their ugly heads.
Let's talk about other issues. The National Health Insurance. You are the former health MEC. You are the member of the NEC of the ANC. You've been talking about the NHI for more than a decade now. You have piloted it, but it's not taking off. When will it come into effect?
Siphamandla, I also chair the task team on the NHI for the NEC. I must say that we have made significant progress. We have had even 2 white papers. That's how complex the situation was. But we had to bring many South Africans with us. And now we are at the legislation level. There is a bill in Parliament, and the Portfolio Committee is now doing paragraph for paragraph or to try and process the legislation. From National Assembly, it will go to NCOP and to provinces. So we have made significant progress, and we will build on that.
Let's talk about peace and stability. South Africa is a violent country. There are many issues that are happening, issues of immigration. There are calls to tighten your immigration policies. Your NEC fellow colleague there, Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi, is saying, well, for years, South Africa hasn't had one singular migration policy, and that needs to come to an end. How are you going to deal with that moving forward, bearing in mind that the issue of migration or immigration in South Africa is becoming a thorny issue?
Dr. Motsoaledi fixed the HIV/AIDS epidemic for us, and with the proposals that he has put on the table, we will call him Dr. Fix-It as well on this issue of immigration. There are already proposals that he has made before the NEC, and some of those will be discussed here at the policy conference. Indeed, we have heard South Africans. We have also heard from legitimate asylum seekers that the processes are too long and are not efficient. So yes, South Africa is part of the global world, but we need to have measures in place to control the migration, especially across boundaries. There is a saying in Nigeria that some of the Nigerian criminals that are on the run in Nigeria find it easy to come to South Africa, and South Africa must stop complaining about Nigerians and make sure that it manages its immigration laws because they are wanted also back home. So I think if our attitude should be that we will be protecting South Africans, it will be in the best interest of our neighboring countries and Africa as a whole to ensure that our immigration laws are reliable.
Let's talk about social transformation, because that's where it matters the most. You know, economy and social transformation. The ANC discussion documents on that one do not seem to offer something new. How will this gathering ensure that when it comes to social transformation, there is concrete, or there are concrete outcomes in that regard?
I think in terms of social transformation, there has been a great progress over the past 28 years. There's been access to water, there's been access to housing, there's been access to electricity, to education, to health. We have expanded
with major challenges.
We have expanded access, yes. So now what we need to look at is the quality and the alignment of social transformation to the new demands of the economy. And the very difficult structural challenges in the economy.
I cannot leave you without talking about this point, gender-based violence and femicide. Surely this gathering needs to discuss that to end the scourge. Women are being killed in South Africa by men.
I'm going to be delivering a paper on gender and emancipation of women at plenary, and all commissions will be discussing this issue as well. And the issue of eradicating gender-based violence in our society is at the core of it, because it is a barrier to economic emancipation and also to women just enjoying the democracy and the freedom.
Are you not worried that this gathering will be overshadowed by organizational issues like Step Aside and Renewal and Unity? Some provinces have called for Step Aside resolution to be scrapped.
The Step Aside resolution is the 54th National Conference resolution. And if there are any recommendations, those recommendations can emerge, but we cannot turn back. The 54th National Conference, a conference of branches, was very resolute that the values, the principles, and the trustworthiness of the ANC should be unquestionable, and there should be no point of return on those issues.
pardon me, I have to ask you this question. The Mail and Guardian is reporting that President Cyril Ramaphosa of the ANC has appeared before Integrity Committee or Commission. Is that true? And the Mail and Guardian is reporting that he did not answer questions on the Phala Phala saga.
Well, I may not know the details because we do receive the Integrity Committee reports. We have not as yet received it, but yes, we did receive a report that he has appeared. We will await the report of the Integrity Committee and take it from there.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Gwen Ramakgopa is the member of the National Executive Committee of the ANC, as she will be delivering a paper or some sort of input in terms of gender-based violence at this National Policy Conference.
All right, well, thank you so much, Siphamandla Goge, out for us, of course, ensuring that we get to some NEC members and get some insights. Just before they do present into their various workshops, he did say that besides, the main session that will take place, there will be breakout sessions where pertinent issues will be discussed. Dr. Gwen Ramakgopa there saying gender issues will be, of course, her focus as she, of course, addresses on what the policies around that will be.
Yeah, and gender-based violence, as we know, the scourge of it, no real way of getting on top of it all. So I think a lot of people are going to be very keen to hear how that's going to happen. As we head up to 12 minutes after 8 here at Nasrec.